Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. Let's make a start on the prayers. We'll start with Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girvardhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girvardhari, Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunj Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gyan Anjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavs Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saghana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajiv Sadhvetam Savadutam Krishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saghana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Veshwari Nishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpato Brehascha Kirpa Sindhu Vecha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Parsthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Parcharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpatam Hamande Shri Gurundin Taranam Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. Hari Om Tassat. Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Sasvyatam Tato Jai Madhuryat Nashta Prashabdreshu Nityam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Neshtaki Hari Hari. So we are discussing the 22 incarnations that have been picked in the Bhagavatam, although there is limitless incarnations of the Lord. So we are looking at the 22 and we should have them covered today. So right now we are here, the 17th incarnation of Godhead, and that's Sri Vyasadeva. So Tatha Saptadashe Jataha Satyavatyam Parasharata Chakre Veda Taro Shakha Drishtva Pumso Alpamedha Saha. So Tatha, thereafter, Sapt the share in the 17th incarnation, Jata advented Satyavatyam in the womb of Satyavati, Prasharat by Prashar Muni, Chakre prepared Veda Tarho of the desired tree of the Vedas, Shakha branches, Drishtva be seen, Pumsa the people in general, Alp Medasaha less intelligent. So thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Shri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Prashar Muni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, saying that the people in general were less intelligent. So as Kali Yuga was approaching, changes had to be made. Before, everything was done by Shruti, the Vedas were heard and remembered. But now the Vedas had to be written down, they had to be read, memorized, and reviewed like we do. We review things, we read, we forget them after a few minutes what we read. We can't remember one shloka. So they had to be written down, and then they had to be divided so you could understand it better. Instead of one big chunk, they divided into sub-branches. So in Srila Prabhupada's purport, originally the Veda is one, but Srila Vyasadeva divided the original Veda into 4, Sam, Yajur, Rig, Atharva. And then again they were explained in different branches like the Puranas and the Mahabharata. Vedic language and the subject matter are very difficult for ordinary men. They are understood by the highly intelligent and self-realized Brahmins. But the present age of Kali is full of ignorant men. Even those who are born by a Brahman father are in the present age no better than the Shudras or the women. The twice born men, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, are expected to undergo a cultural purificatory process known as the samskars. But because of the bad influence of the present age, the so-called members of the Brahmana and of the high order families are no longer highly cultured. They are called the Dvija Bandhus, or the friends and family members of the twice born. But these Dvija Bandhus are classified amongst the Shudras and the women. Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into various branches and sub-branches for the sake of the less intelligent classes like the Dvija Bandhus, Shudras and women. So Srila Prabhupada, he keeps mentioning Shudras and women, which it has been quite controversial. But then this is just in context, really, because Srila Prabhupada is saying that many women may not be interested in studying these, but he did say that once you come to Krishna consciousness and everybody is equal, then you are intelligent, that you have taken on this process and that Krishna has been merciful, that you have done something right, that you are on this level. So in Krishna consciousness, in Iskcon, everybody is equal and there is not any different, whether you're Shudra or a Brahman or a woman, anyone who's taken to Krishna consciousness is equal. So just get that fact in there. So anything about Vyasadeva by Prabhupada? The prayer to Vyasadeva is, may the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Vyasadeva protect me from all kinds of ignorance resulting from the absence of Vedic knowledge. So Vyasadeva is the authority of Vedic knowledge, and we need that knowledge to advance in bhakti, and we pray to him for removing our ignorance. And it's also mentioned that in the yugas, only the people who went through a purificatory process were of high intelligence. They could understand the Vedas. So it need to be highly intelligent to understand the Vedas. Now even the Brahmana and the Kshatriyas are of lower intelligence. So it's the symptom of Kali Yuga that everyone's intelligence is reduced. So this is the thing. So we have to work within our means. We have to make the best of the bad bargain that we have right now. This is why we're not really expected to learn the Vedas, memorize the Vedas. If we can hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every day, then that is good enough. You don't even have to understand it completely. Best if you do, because that will help you to advance. But even just hearing is purificatory, but it'll be slow. That's the only thing, it'll be slow. So let's go to 22. Nardevatvam apnaha sura karya chikirshaya samudra nirgrahadini shakre viryani atha param. So Nar, human being, Devatavam, divinity, Apanha, having assumed the form of Sur, the demigods, Karya, activities, Chakirshaya, for the purpose of performing, Samundra, the Indian Ocean, Nigraha, Adini, controlling, etc. Chakre, did perform, Viryani, superhuman prowess, Atha Param, thereafter. So in the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravan, who was on the other side of the sea. So that's Ram is considered here as the 18th incarnation. And in Srila Prabhupada's purport, the personality of God Sri Ram assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods or the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe. So God, the administrative personality is like his staff, right? So Krishna appears to do work for them. They're supposed to be working for him, but he appears to work for them because something they can't do. They can't perform something, then he takes birth to help them out and do the work for them. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu and many other become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with the spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. So sometimes these Ravan and Hiranyakashipu, they become very, very strong, that they become more powerful than the demigods. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord, but puffed up by tiny success and material advancement. Sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravan was one of them, and this is the conclusion, the essence of Ramayana is that never challenge God. And you know what happened to Ravan? Never challenge God. Ravan was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of heaven by material means without consideration of the necessary qualifications. So, he's thinking he's God now, and he can do whatever he wants. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planets so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. So sometimes living entities, we tend to make our own rules, so we have to be careful. He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Ram, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife Sita. Of course, Lord Ram came to chastise this atheist, asking the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravan, and we see in Ramayana, it was not easy to defeat. It was very difficult, and he had very strong backup, Meghnad and Kumkaran. There's they had all had superpowers. Lord Ramchandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones are floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring in weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because of weightlessness is the creation of the Lord, by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air. He made the stones, even within the earth, to be weightless, and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God. So when we're flying in a plane, as we were a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking how man can make things float in the air. And I mean, these planes are very, very heavy. They're carrying so much weight. You're talking many tons of weight, floating in the air. And whereas Krishna is also floating things in the air. All the planets, the sun, the universes, everything's floating. Now the only difference is we're limited to how much we can float and for how long we can float these things. Right? The plane will float for so long and then he has to come down. Whereas Krishna's, when he floats something, he can float it as long as he wants. And it doesn't seem to be any fuel required. They just float in the air. It doesn't matter how heavy they are. Our universe is the smallest universe. A much, much bigger universes. In fact, in even Vaikuntha, the planets are so big, and everything just floating like bubbles in the air. And so there's no limit of size or time limit, so how long they can float. They can float forever. That is the difference. So we are like Krishna, but we are not Krishna. We are very limited, where he is unlimited. So Ramchandra's prayer is, may the elder brother Bharat, Lord Ramchandra, along with his brother Lakshman, protect me in foreign countries. That's 6.8.15. So lesson for mine, as I've said, do not challenge the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's go to 23. The 19 and 20 incarnations. Okay. So Ekon Vimshe Vimshatim Vrishnishu Prapya Janmani Ram Krishna Iti Bhuvo Bhagwan Aharad Baram. So Ekon Vimshe in the 19th, Vimshatim in the 20th also, Vrishnishu in the Vrishni dynasty, Prapya having obtained Janmani births, Ram, Balram. So Balram is mentioned as Ram here. Krishna, Shri Krishna, Iti, thus Bhuva of the worlds, Bhagwan, the personal Godhead, Aharat, removed, Baram, burden. So in the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty. And by doing so, he removed the burden of the world. So whenever the world or the planet Earth is burdened with the weight of sinful people with a lot of sin, then Krishna comes himself and removes it, lightens the load on the planet. Sometimes you see the Bhumi, she is crying out to the Lord that please, protect me, because there is so much sinful activity, so much sin. I'm burdened with so much sin that I need help. The specific mention of the word Bhagwan in this text indicates that Balaram and Krishna are original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha. as we learned from the beginning of this chapter. He is directly the original personality of Godhead, and Balaram is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baldev, the first flanks of plenary expansions of the Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarsha, Aniruddha and Pradyumna expand. Lord Shri Krishna is Vasudev and Baldev is Sankarsha. So on this, which have the prayer for Lord Balaram, may Lord Balaram as Shesha protect me from envious serpents. That's 6:8:18. And well, so many prayers to Krishna. So we're going to the next one. So tatha kalau sampravrite samoha sura davisham buddho nam nanjana sutha hikteshu vivashyati. So tatha, thereafter, kalau, the age of Kali, sampravrite, having ensued, samoha, for the purpose of deluding, sur, the atheist, dvisham, those who are envious, Buddha, Lord Buddha, namna, of the name, Anjana Sutta, whose mother was Anjana, Kikateshu, in the province of Gaya or Bihar, Vivashyati, will take place. Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha. So it's mentioned now in the future tense because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was written obviously by Vyasadeva 5,000 years ago, and Buddha, as we know, he appeared. So now this is what they say, that the incarnations are already mentioned in the scriptures. So then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theist. So Lord Buddha, a powerful incarnation of the personality of Godhead, appeared in the province of Gaya, which we know as Bihar, as the son of Anjana, as he preached his own conception of non-violence and deprecated even the animal sacrifices sanctioned in the Vedas. So we already know this, that the Vedas allow sacrifice animals, but that was for a purpose. They were there for testing the mantras, and it would give actually the animal a new body, a new life. But when you can't chant the mantras properly, or they just don't have that potency, then you're just killing animal whimsically. So that had to be stopped. At the time when Lord Buddha appeared, the people in general were atheistic and preferred animal flesh to anything else. So even talking about meat eating, so thinking that killing animals is okay and why waste it and just eat it. On the plea of Vedic sacrifice, every place was practically turned into a slaughterhouse, and animal killing was indulged in unrestrictedly. Lord Buddha preached non-violence, taking pity on the poor animals. He preached that he did not believe in the tenets of the Vedas and stressed the adverse psychological effects incurred by animal killing. Less intelligent men of the age of Kali, who had no faith in God, followed his principle, and for the time being they were trained in moral discipline and non-violence. The preliminary steps for the proceeding further on the path of God realization. So for God realization, you have to have some kind of discipline, a moral discipline, and you have to be non-violence at least. This is why we have the 4 regulations. One of them is non-violence. No meat eating means non-violence. He deluded the atheist because such atheists who followed his principle did not believe in God. So they didn't have to believe in God, they just had to follow this principle. There's no God worship or any devotional service for them. They could just follow these rules. But they kept their absolute faith in Lord Buddha, who himself was the incarnation of God. So whatever you're doing, you're still worshipping God. Not maybe directly, but indirectly you're worshipping God. Thus the faithless people were made to believe in God in the form of Lord Buddha. That was the mercy of Lord Buddha. He made the faithless faithful to him. So sometimes, you have to do things differently and get the public on your side. Even Srila Prabhupada said to the Western devotees that he tricked them into Krishna consciousness. But, if you're tricking someone for their own good, then, what is the harm? It's like when, I remember when your mother is giving you medicine and she will say all sorts of things just to get you to drink that medicine that you don't want to drink. But, end of the day, it's for your own benefit. So killing of animals before the advent of Lord Buddha was the most prominent feature of the society. People claim that these were Vedic sacrifices. When the Vedas are not accepted through the authoritative disciplic succession, the casual readers of the Vedas are misled by the flowery language of that system of knowledge. In the Bhagavad-Gita, a comment has been made on such foolish scholars. Iva Paschitaha, the foolish scholars of Vedic literature who do not care to receive the transcendental message through the transcendental realized sources of disciplic succession, are sure to be bewildered. To them, the ritualistic ceremonies are considered to be all in all. They have no depth of knowledge. So according to Bhagavad-Gita 15:15, Vedas Save Aham Eva Vedya, the whole system of the Vedas is to lead one gradually to the path of the Supreme Lord. So as we discussed, that the Vedas are divided into 3 modes, and you can start at any mode, but eventually you will end up at the mode of goodness. The whole theme of Vedic literature is to know the Supreme Lord, the individual soul, the cosmic situation, and the relation between all these items. So know who you are, know who the Lord is, and what is our relationship. And then when you know your relationship, then we talk about Spanda, Vidya, and Projan. What is our relationship? What is the process to, solidify the relationship? And what will you get from the relationship? The love of God. When the relation is known, the relative function begins. And as a result of such a function of ultimate goal of life, or going back to Godhead, takes place in the easiest manner. Unfortunately, unauthorized scholars of the Vedas become captivated by the purificatory ceremonies only, and natural progress is thereby checked. To such bewildered persons of atheistic propensity, Lord Buddha is the emblem of theism. He therefore first of all wanted to check the habit of animal killing. So these Vedas, they were misused basically. The animal killers are dangerous elements on the path going to Godhead. There are 2 types of animal killers. The soul is also sometimes called the animal or the living being. Therefore, both the slaughterers of animals and those who have lost their identity of soul are animal killers, or sometimes they say killers of the soul. Maharaj Pikshi said that only the animal killer cannot relish the transcendental message of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if people are to be educated to the path of Godhead, they must be taught first and foremost to stop the process of animal killing as above mentioned. It is nonsensical to say that animal killing has nothing to do with spiritual realization, which many religions do eat meat, and yet they might feel that what they are doing is at the highest level and everybody else is at a lower level, but yet they eat meat. So by this dangerous theory, many so-called sannyasis have sprung up by the grace of Kali Yuga, who preach animal killing under the garb of the Vedas. So everything has its function, and sometimes those functions can be misused, just like the internet. Although it's a great invention, innovation, but it can be easily misused, and so the Vedas, even the Vedas can be misused as well. The subject matter has already been discussed in the conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Molan Chand Kaji Sahib. So that's Chand Kaji as we know it. The animal sacrifice stated in the Vedas is different from the unrestricted animal killing in the slaughterhouses, but it's been misunderstood. The animal sacrifice stated in the Vedas is different from the unrestricted animal killing in the slaughterhouses because the Asuras are the so-called scholars of Vedic literature, but put forward the evidence of animal killing in the Vedas. Lord Buddha superficially denied the authority of the Vedas. This rejection of the Vedas by Lord Buddha was adopted in order to save people from the vice of animal killing, as well as to save the poor animals from the slaughtering process of their big brothers who clamor for universal brotherhood, peace, justice, and equity. There is no justice when there is animal killing. Lord Buddha wanted to stop it completely, and therefore his cult of ahimsa was propagated not only in India but also outside the country. So the neighboring countries, there's a lot of Buddhist monks. Buddhism is prevalent all around Asia. So did well to get people at least stop killing and live a peaceful society. So Lord Buddha, the 20th incarnation, may Lord Buddhadev protect me from the activities opposed to Vedic principles and from laziness that causes one to madly forget the Vedic principle of knowledge and ritualistic action. That is the prayer in 6, 8, 10. So Srila Prabhupada said that he made the faithless faithful. So people who didn't have no belief in God, and probably still didn't believe in God, but if they believe in Buddha, that was good enough. Stop them killing animals by rejecting the Vedas, and they mention of animal, or the Vedas mention of animal sacrifices. So I did a great job. Sometimes you have to start at the grassroots, right? When society becomes so degraded, I think any gradation is good thing. You have to start somewhere. Like we were saying yesterday, that it's not always possible to go from a student to a sannyasi. Some can, not everybody can. Sometimes you have to go through the motions, the process. So we'll just check out the next one. Okay, but also, okay, there's a bit more here, sorry. Technically, Lord Buddha's philosophy is called atheistic because there is no acceptance of the Supreme Lord, and because that system of philosophy denied the authority of the Vedas. But that is in an act of camouflage by the Lord. Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Godhead. As such, he is the original propounder of Vedic knowledge. He therefore cannot reject Vedic philosophy. So, the philosophy is given by the Lord himself, so he can't reject it. But he rejected it outwardly because the Sura Dvisha, or the demons who are always envious of the devotees of the Godhead, try to support cow killing or animal killing from the pages of the Vedas. And this is now being done by modernized sannyasis. Lord Buddha had to reject the authority of the Vedas altogether. This is simply technical, and had it not been so, he would not have been so accepted as the incarnation of Godhead. Nor would he have been worshipped in the transcendental songs of the poet Jayadev. So, although we don't worship Lord Buddha, but he's accepted as one of the incarnations. So we accept what he did at that time, but we don't worship him because from his point, it was an atheistic philosophy. But just to worship him was good enough at the time. But poet Jayadev, who is Vaishnava Acharya, Lord Buddha preached the preliminary principles of the Vedas in a manner suitable for the time. And so also did Shankaracharya. to establish authority of the Vedas. Therefore, both Lord Buddha and Acharya Shankara paved the path of theism and Vaishnava Acharyas. Specifically, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu led the people on the path toward the realization of going back to Godhead. We are glad that people are taking interest in the non-violent movement of Lord Buddha, but will they take the matter very seriously and also close the animal slaughterhouses altogether? But, well, they haven't closed. There's only so much you can do. If not, there is no meaning to the Ahimsa cult. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was composed just prior to the beginning of the age of Kali, about 5,000 years ago. And Lord Buddha appeared about, 2,600 years ago. Therefore, in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Lord Buddha is foretold. Such is the authority of this clear scripture. There are many such prophecies and they are being fulfilled one after another. They will indicate the positive standing of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is without any trace of mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfection, which are the four floors of the conditioned souls. The liberated souls are above these floors, therefore they can see and foretell things which are to take place on distant future dates. So that's the positive standing of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And it's like we're talking about the accuracy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is without trace of mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfection, because it comes straight from Krishna. These four traces of making mistakes, becoming illusioned, cheating, and imperfection, imperfect senses, that is the jiva's imperfection, or these are the four defects that we have are mentioned here. But Bhagavatam is coming straight from Krishna himself, so it does not contain those imperfections. This is why consider them a high authority. We follow this high authority because human beings, we have four defects, like these defects mentioned here, that we cannot, we can't trust what we concoct. We cannot trust, because this is why material science, material philosophy, it keeps changing. Somebody else comes and challenges it, changes it, and it keeps changing. Somebody writes a thesis, somebody writes paper, and so and so did this, so and so did that. It's constantly changing. But the scriptures don't change. They are the word of God, they are word in stone, and they cannot change because they are perfect. Just want to quickly, maybe just talk about Kalki avatar. Athasau yuga sandayam dasya preshu rajasau janita vishnu yasya so namna Kalki jagatpatihi. So thereafter asau, the same Lord, yuga sandayam, at the conjunction of the yugas, dasyu, plunderers, prashyeshu, almost all, rajasu, the governing personalities, janita, will take his birth, Vishnu, named Vishnu, Yasha, so named Yasha, Namna, in the name of Kalki, in the incarnation Lord, Jagatapati, the Lord of the incarnation. So just want to say that, so Kalki, as you can see, is already also mentioned here. That will happen in the future. So thereafter, in the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as Kalki, incarnation, become the son of Vishnu, Yasha. At this time, almost all the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. So when everything is totally, level of bottomless, or say rock bottom degradation, then the Kalki avatar will come and sort out matters. So here is another foretelling of the advent of Lord Kalki, the incarnation of Godhead. He is to appear at the conjunction of the two yugas. Which are the conjunction of the two yugas? End of Kali Yuga and the beginning of Satyug. There's a gap between Kali Yuga And so it's not like you wake up the next morning and suddenly, oh, it's Satyug now, we're going to live for, is it 100,000 years or something? It doesn't work like that. There is a gap between Kali Yuga and there'll be like a period, and then there'll be like Satya Yuga will then start. The cycle of the 4 yugas, namely Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, rotates like the calendar months. The present Kali Yuga lasts 432,000 years, and only 5,000 years have gone, after which we have passed only 5,000 years after the battle of Kurukshetra and the end of regime of King Parikshit. So there are 427,000 years balance yet to be finished. So if anybody says that, oh, the world's going to end in 2000 this or 2000 that, well, according to Krishna, we still got 427,000 years. But we only got 10,000 years of the golden age. That's what we should be focusing on. Therefore, at the end of this period, the incarnation of Kalki will take place, as foretold in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And it's already mentioned that Bhagavatam is accurate. Otherwise, why would we be sitting here, reading it? Is super accurate, and it is as it is. The name of his father, Vishnu Yasha, a learned Brahman in the village of Shambhala, are also mentioned. As above mentioned, all these foretellings will prove to be factual in chronological order. That is the authority of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Srila Prabhupada stamped the authority of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that what it says, we have to believe it, we have to trust this Bhagavatam. And so, and Prabhupada mentioned that everybody at the end of Kali Yuga will be thieves. May Kalki Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as incarnation to protect religious principles, protect me from the dirt of age of Kali. 6:8:19. So we can also pray to Kalki, who has not appeared yet. We can still pray to him. So I heard that. So when the Pandavas heard that Kali Yuga is just around the corner, Kali Yuga is coming, and they even noticed some of the symptoms of Kali Yuga. How people were showing disrespect to each other, and there was a lot of people fighting for no reason, bickering going on. Like that, they could see that something's changing, the yuga is changing, and they were pretty shocked by the whole thing. Now, just imagine that what we read, that what is really going to be like, what Kali Yuga is really going to be like, in the next 432,000 years, the people will be eating people will be eating children, like that. They'll be like scarcity of food and amenities. So just imagine, so the Pandava was shocked by just what was happening then. Just imagine how they were like thinking, oh my Krishna, that this is what's going to be coming in a few thousand years. So it'd be like really, really shocking. And so when we should also think about that what is shocking situation it will be. So we need to get out of here. We really cannot be here at that time. We've got 10,000 years, and really we should get our act together in this lifetime. Never mind 10,000 years, because we don't know whether we have 10,000 years. We're not going to be human, because that's the only form that we can sit and listen to Bhagavatam, or do our rounds and purify ourselves. Listen to Bhagavatam is purifying, doing our rounds, purifying, do some service, it's purifying, as any other form. You'll be just looking for food and sense gratification all day long. You will not have the intelligence for all this. So it's very important. So we make the most of what we have and give it our best shot. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And I'll stop sharing. Back to here. And we'll start with Hina Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was just thinking about from I think it's one of the first verses around how you said, and it's mentioned in there about becoming Krishna conscious is a sign of the highest intelligence. And I was just thinking about how this knowledge is so complete, and you don't need to know anything else. And how this world, just thinking about, I was just reflecting on how much out that this world is full of, so much mundane knowledge, which is everything, around us. It's what the universities focus on, what schools focus on, etc. It's just not the topmost knowledge. It's none of that is going to help us after this life. So I was just constantly thinking about that. So it's this knowledge is very rare. That we've been able to come across it. We're so fortunate to have come across it. I was also just thinking about Lord Buddha's role, and it was important at that point in history, how he was able to kind of bring ahimsa to the forefront at that point in history. And I know it hasn't made a lasting change in the world, but still it made a difference at that time in history, at that point in history. So that was it for me. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
for sharing. Yeah, I mean, especially when Krishna comes himself, there's a potency there to attract the people. They have the strength in the tongue, and when they speak, just like Nardamuni, he's a jiva, and yet he has so much potency. When they say, people listen. That they sounds very believable, and that they get attracted to what the person is saying. But like you said, that nothing permanent. Like Krishna came 5,000 years ago, and he gave Bhagavad-Gita. Not everybody is reading Bhagavad-Gita. So this is jiva. This is why we're here, because not everybody is on the same stage. There's three modes of nature constantly knocking at our door, and this illusory energy. This is why yada yada hi dharmasya, yuge yuge. This is why we talk about like that, because things are going in cycles. There might be a lot of pious people, then degrades, and then something has to be done to bring them back up again. This reminds me of a workplace. You have your employees. Every few weeks you have to give them a little lecture to bring them back in line again. My father-in-law is listening. I'm sure he knows, because he's had a lot of people working under him in a big company. So every few weeks or a month, you have to lecture them, bring them in line. And this is how we are. We will listen, we'll become really good, and then slowly, Maya takes over us. And then, you have to tune the air again, put us back into line. So Prabhupada said, somebody said, why do I need to go to temple? Why do I need association devotee? Can I just stay home and read your books, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada grabbed the ear of the devotee. He says, well, the books won't do that. If you come, we'll tell you what you're doing wrong and tune you properly and keep you in line where you're going wrong. So yeah, this is human nature. You have to keep bringing back into line. Hare Krishna. Parveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada Pranam. Yes, thank you for the class. And so we realized, listening to all the incarnations, how the Lord appears, to give protection and pleasure to the devotees, and whatever is needed at the time, like the time circumstance, the Lord, works accordingly. So when Lord Buddha, he, wanted to stop the non-violence, so he rejected the teachings. So, but that was just to protect the animals. So to guide people, it is wrong to eat meat. And Vyasadeva, so I thought, humble obeisances to Srila Vyasadeva, because if he hadn't done this, we wouldn't have been sitting here reading Bhagavatam. So there would have been just one Veda, and we wouldn't have a clue. And then Srila Prabhupada, he made it easy, giving the purpose and everything. So also like we're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita in the morning, and it mentioned wherever there is kirtan, Lord is present himself. So we have to take it very seriously, and it is same when we're reading Bhagavatam. Lord is present there, and also Yamraj is there. I heard once, I think. Is that true, Prabhuji? You know, wherever you're reading Bhagavatam, Yamraj is also there listening.
I hope so. I mean,
Yeah, he'll remember that we've been reading Bhagavatam, so he will not come.
Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation anyway of the, Bhagavatam is the Lord himself, right?
Yes, yeah.
The Kali Yuga, we have to see the Lord through our ears, so we are seeing the Lord.
Yes.
Krishna
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krishna. Sava Prabhu, would you like to add anything? Welcome. Okay. He's listening only. Okay. Rajani?
Hare Krishna, everyone. I think Savi Prabhu wanted to say something.
Sava would like to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. No, I thank you for the class. Yeah, it's been great learning. I've been reading Bhagavatam on my own as well, and it really baffles me like how stubborn we are as a human race. That God had to come time and again just to put us on the path, and from today's a chapter that you read. I mean, how selfless the God is, like coming in Buddha incarnation. He even rejected his own self. It was like, forget about all that, forget about what all I've told you. Just, just stop being inhuman, even if that at the cost of just rejecting me. That is the kind of selflessness that Krishna is teaching, and though we are far away from it, but at least knowing about it, that leaves an impression. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful realization, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. That's very nice.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Yes, God has had unlimited incarnations, but Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which was spoken 5,000 years to us, the jivas of Kali Yuga, only included 22 incarnations. I think because we are in Kali Yuga as jivas are, like this said in the Shloka 10 of the first chapter of first canto, we are manda sumanda and we are lazy. We have got all the bad qualities in abundance in Kali Yuga. So everything has been designed to suit our what do you call it, our capacities in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So God hasn't given too much in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or too little. God has revealed just enough for our understanding. So even we don't understand everything, at least when we are hearing certain chapters or discussing such certain chapters, we do get the realizations and the eureka moment, like Savi Prabhu just said, that Krishna just rejects his own philosophy sometimes just to help the people of that certain age. So how amazing it is that. And as the jivas, could we do that when we establish something and we won't be able to reject it because our ego will come in our way. We are like that. But Lord is doing all that actually to help us facilitate the path back to Godhead. Because end of the day, all the trouble Lord has taken is for us. And so all we have to do is just try to listen, try to understand whatever little we can, and apply these teachings in our little way, and that will be a big service to Lord. And Lord, he'll be so happy at our tiny effort. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll finish here. Thank you for your input. Wonderful. Please keep joining, and we'll continue on Friday. And very nice. There's a lot to discuss and a lot to share. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.